a.k.a. Leslie and Burke, a.k.a. the public indecency drunk and the You were so drunk you didn't remember what it was when you signed on. That, or you were high. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke, you would think that, but you're wrong. Where's the fun in exposing your genitals or breaking stuff in your own home? Threatening, fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations. Good, you're learning. If the files are to be trusted, that's all there is to it. He must have it confused with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're drunk out of your mind on potent. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. What can't get out of his apartment, and which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one? Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it. In the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hills. Insufferable dicks. They were leaving it. Cigarette butts, coffee cups, stupid couch. No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you have what is called a real goddamn job. You don't have time to be chasing down the couch. Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags from the clipboard. The two sides of the board appear slightly misaligned, like a drawer that's come off its slides. If you bend the plastic on your knee slowly, the slides snap back into place. It should be possible to just, without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The two ticket stubs and a handmade postcard. Two octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other in the colored pencil drawings. The tickets permit access to the zoo in Revachol East. The aquarium costs extra. These let you go there, too. Thin wax paper has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Sounds like leaves rustling when you pick it up. You see familiar handwriting lines the inside of the card. Looped, round letters in a woman's hand. A young woman in her 20s. There is care, effort, and a smile, you think. Although that is not something you can read from someone's handwriting. Harry, it begins. You're already reading. I wanted to write you a letter so you can read it when you wake up. Maybe it will. Throw it away, please. A merciful wind blows in from the bay of Revachol, dusting the ground at your feet and raising newspapers far away. Your hands shake, holding onto it. Every morning when I step out and you're asleep behind me, it says, every step I take, it grows. By the time I reach the fuel station, it has filled me entirely. I step onto the light rail and look back. Sparks fall from the you. Every step I take will get lighter. It almost makes me run. Sometimes I do. I can't believe I met you. Kisses, kisses, kisses. You feel the air sucked out of your lungs and the blood sucked out of your head. Everything around you gets dark. You feel the ledger slip from your hand. No, hold on. To what?
Detective, is everything all right?
There is nothing. Again. Nothing sad, brother. No treachery, just blackout. Well, almost nothing. There is the ground below you, that's still there. And the small light that's on, fluttering, somewhere in the basal ganglia. That's me. Blue eyes, that's me. Who was what?
He speaks of the sickening longing, the unwell emotion. Even in the darkness, he's grasping for it. Still trying to hold on to the great sorrows slipping in the water.
The cool when you're dead.
Here in the paleo-mammalian cortex, we call it the shadow. Because it's always there.
Bloated corpse of the past resurfacing.
Beautiful. Believe me, stupid ape. Its lack of beauty.
There is no Voyager Road. There are no roads, no houses, no lights in the windows. It's all on. You think they would let you? Until you disintegrate into biomolecules. No. Someone is breathing on your face now, inspecting your pupils, stupid idiot.
Yes, they're pouring something on you. It's in you.
It's delicious. Glowing lights on a dashboard emerge out of nothingness. In the upholstered cabin of Lieutenant Kitsuragi's motor carriage, seated in the driver's basket, the air is thick with leatherworks and heavy fuel oil.
Drink. Water.
The water is cold, silvery, the stuff of life itself as it pours down your parched throat. The pounding in your head recedes. The dark...
Drink. You haven't drunk water in 2 days. Did you know the human body is not made to survive on alcohol alone? You need a secondary form of hydration.
With greedy gulps, you down half a liter of cold water. Some of it spills on the driver's seat. The lieutenant pays no heed to it.
What happened? That does sometimes happen. You dropped these. Are you okay to proceed? Good.
The Ledger of Failure and Hatred is a special item that can be used both as an interactable and a tool equipped in your held slot for skill.
Hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your Copo type. Yes. Guess what's yours? No, you're the sorry cop. The cop who's sorriest. Let's make it official then. Huge lack of enthusiasm going on in here. You know, Apocalypse, Superstellar, the Advanced Interesting Cop, Liquid Shadow Cop. But you're too sorry to say those things. So, here we go? Yes, impotent rage and lamentation. Let's wrap it up? Of course you are. It's okay. See if you can get something out of this, like info, or maybe every time that won't happen. Lonesome, long way home. Here we go. Home awaits. Walk past Station 41 and through the market, past the Boogie Street spearhead to the other side of the lake, the frozen eye at the center of the district. Then past the video rental store on the corner. There, at the end of a street lined with pine trees, a small house no larger than a matchbox. Advanced race theory. Everything is calm in the eye of the race storm. Your mind is lucid and bright. The mind-bending phylogenetics appear more distant. The man before you is naked, but for a pair of underpants and white boots. His skin is marbled with decaying veins.
I'm gone. Into the wild pale yonder. In the past, way out in the west. I'm a joke. Look at me. There is nothing funny about jokes either. A killer, a motherfucker, and a killer. Go ahead, Cobbo. What do you mean? It's the power of your imagination.
Yeah, man! Don't be crazy! Inanimate objects and dead people can't really talk to you. Your wild imagination is doing this. Ask some more of them.
He loves those. Because you're a copperoonie. Look at all of them go. Do you want more? you loony. Fuck no. You're no Rooney. Between you and me, your name is probably Harry. You can be anything you want, brother Corpo. Because you have. Maybe I was getting my rocks off. Do I look like an erotic auto-asphyxiation type to you? Captain Coppadromo? I fear we are drifting away, fixating on sexuality again. Do I remind you of someone? There you go. Look at that bright kid. We're birds of a feather, you and I. Soon you will be just like me.
Feeling nausea, vomiting, tenderness or pain around the liver area, tiny red lines on the skin above waist level, more like days, Coppo.
Come back later, Corpo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori feature. Of course, you come back later.
The steel-reinforced belt presents a unique challenge. I brought chain cutters, but I don't see a good angle of approach to the belt. The cadaver is a good 1.2 meters up. Neither one of us can reach the belt without assistance. And even if we do, there's the question of cutting it. Climb up there and saw the branch? There has to be a less risky way, with less falling down of trees. I was really hoping we wouldn't. The Union appeared to be suspect in this case. It seems like a dangerous route to... Okay, they do have the tools and the men. And since it looks like they put him there... Okay, let's do it in the lousy, dangerous way. From the gates, by negotiating or fighting. I'm unenthusiastic about fighting. Or we can try to find some secret third path. It's unlikely though.
To the gates. Let's fight, I say.
To ask the suspect for help with the victim's body? To be indebted to Everard Clare? Very much, yes. Which is why I would have preferred us to handle this ourselves. Clearly we can't.
Suck my dick, bitches!
The leader of the Union. A dangerous and corrupt man, from what I hear.
Yeah? Don't go being someone.
sir. Step right in. The store is open. Are you interested in a new and exciting book? It's a bookstore, sir. We sell books, postcards, and some board games. It's called Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold your horses, little girl. You're fooling nobody.
Sir, are you okay? You've been standing here silently for a while now. Okay, sir. I'll try to answer any questions you have. I hope they're about books. My name is Annette, sir. My mum, her name is Plaisance. She owns the store. She's inside minding the register or organising the store. Feel free to step in and browse our wares. I'm signalling that the store is open. Otherwise, people might not know. They'd miss out on the crime, romance, and biographies of famous people.
A sudden gush of wind turns the pages of the books on the counters. She covers her face, smiling, but she's cold.
Kind of you to offer, sir.
What could you do to help her anyway?
Thank you, sir. I'm happy to help Mum out with the store. I do my studies at home at the moment. I have to help Mum keep this place running. Mum says it's necessary to do both because it builds character. Mum says a proper worker is dutiful. That's how. Mum says it's peachy. She was a little afraid at first. There's talk about this house being cursed.
Behind her, the window has been boarded up. You sense the boards creaking, twisting for a second, and some kind of doubt in her tense shoulders.
Cursed in the way that makes them say that no business has ever really thrived here, sir. That they all go... Exactly, but we've been doing fine so far.
We can go into the bookstore and ask about the case, but I don't see much more to look.
Yes, please do also look at our wares inside. The postcards and board games are there, sir. Nothing really, sir. Mum doesn't allow me to sneak around in the back rooms or the cellar. I don't really know what's there.
It does not manifest itself in any way. It does not exist. I liked it better when we were talking about whether it's appropriate to stand out in the freezing weather. No such thing.
Anything else you wanted to talk about, sir? Maybe I can tell you about some of our books instead. Oh, kings and queens and generals of old, or artists and writers, or musicians, those kinds of people. I think that's why people read them, to find the secrets of their fame.
Seems like most people who read those books fail to get more famous from reading them.
It's the type of book where there's a rich lady and she has to choose between the good man and the bad man. Or there could be a story about a poor lady getting a rich man. It's about maybe some about other books.
The display rack is brimming with worn paperbacks featuring an extremely muscular, sword-wielding barbarian. Rows and rows of Hyamdala men blur your vision. You make out some titles. Man from Hyamdal and the Mammoth Riders. Man maybe 100. Man from Hyamdal and the sages at the end of the world. Man from Hyamdal and the false god. Not even close. Man from Hyamdal in hell. Man from Hyamdal and the forest of nothing of interest. Only silence and the cosmic background pain radiation.
Oh, Man from Hyamdal. A very popular series of adventure novels. They're awfully immoral and violent books. Blood and violence, scantily clad women, epic narratives, all those mystical things. What does it matter? They're all the same. If you're a novice of the series, I'd recommend Hyamdalaman, the Man from Hyamdal. It's supposed to be a good introduction to the series.
A small mountain of colorful board game boxes. There are numerous types of games for all ages. A lot of shelf space seems to be taken up by Wirral-related, an endless variety of source books. There's also a large hardbound tome with intricate. There's a box that says Wirral, nonsense for anemic Beano-clads.
Wonderful board games. Raubritter is a fun game of
Who are you going to play board games with? Do you have friends or family? Are you actually friends? Or just colleagues thrown together by circumstance?
Don't be so hard on yourself, sir. You just need to clean up a bit. And technically, friends are a bit like family. For playing with friends, I'd recommend Suzerainty. It's a civilization building game where you build a civilization, then set off to brutally colonize and lousy auras there. I've heard they turn people into occult enthusiasts, that they have rituals where they try to summon entities. Highly immoral stuff. Welcome to Crime, Romance and Biographies of Faith. Be welcome, and please...
A golden pendant hangs around the woman's neck in the shape of what looks like a tiny fish head trapped in amber.
Oh yes, helps to have an anchor in these times. I am the proudest.
She has fine-tuned her voice to find the most welcoming approach for attracting new customers. It doesn't work.
Annette, yes, my daughter. I hope she wasn't slacking off again with her nose in science fiction. Tell me, was she at her post doing her job like a proper girl? Wonderful! Did you talk to her? Great! On a scale of 1 to 10, how compelled...
Her opinion of her daughter depends on how well she lured you into the store.
My precious, her dedication brings joy to my heart. If you have children, I hope they turn out as great as my Annette. As a young girl should be, with the proper attitude, she'll have a bright financial future.
The woman before you scans the store. Her shoulders.
Goodness, you were already doing good, browsing the shelves. Why'd you stop? Don't you feel compelled? Go. Everything is on the shelves. Take a look yourself.
She smiles and nods, seemingly relieved.
Cursed? Who said that? Annette? I will have a word with her. This place is not...
Doesn't feel like it's thriving. Feels ghostly. You see a set of tattered curtains.
Excuse me, officer. The back room is strictly for employees only.
She's right. Those curtains give off some eerie vibes. Better not mess with it.
Nothing. Now please go back to browsing the books. Don't you feel compelled to look at the books?
Oddly enough, the more she tries to draw you away from the curtains, the more alluring they become. You see some kind of charm, an irregular polyhedron assembled from bones, sticks. Aside from poking at it suspiciously, there is nothing else to do with the fishhead charm at this time. The curtains remain shut before you. Be wary of those mysterious ornaments from the Dark Isles. Do you realize what's out there? Upon the mist-shrouded islands of Ile de Fantôme in they lurk in the tropical pearl of Seminine, casting strange magics on everyone. Ignore the curtains. These shelves are overburdened with books from the same series. You see the name Dick
Oh, you're a police officer.
Crime fiction. These books great. What's more, they completely ignore. Not a single mention of all. You see Dick Mullen on the job. Get me Mullen. The stall. A killing is declared. Dick Mullen in the murder house. The owner. Turns out he faked it to solve a case. Yes, there's also the dame who did it. Farewell, my tragedy calls for Dick Mullen. Come on, this is not the way real police solve crimes. The real police are some 20 kilometers away, sitting in an armored motor carriage.
Come on, Chester. Tell the story again.
Again? Man, I tell that one at least one.
The fuck it is.
Gosh, why?
A very
Yeah, sure can.
After all this, you still haven't found the answer to the one question that matters. Who is... Your quick eye notices a small caterpillar crawling across the spine of a book. The title reads, Dick Mullen, a worn paperback from Dick Mullen's classic hard-boiled phase. The premise seems to be that Dick Mullen is framed for the murder of his best friend. Could it be the motifs of unstable identities and shocking betrayals? Then this is the book for you. Several maps have been attached to a bulletin board hidden inside the alcove. The maps look old and faded. Your eye catches a map of... This large map displays archipelagos. You see a constellation of small dots, Ozon, Laurentide. In the northeast, a dust mite stands on the north coast of Caillou in a bookstore. It's you. You can, on Caillou, Revachon, a single lost little pearls of light. The ocean breaks apart into a tangle of cosines and azimuths, all connections to other worlds, words past the Incelindian, unknown. You have little idea what they are. Distance, perhaps they are gods, gods of distance and outer dust. The north coast of a verdant island is shattered. To the east, rolling hillsides, Le Jardin, Stella Marie, Huron. It's so small you can't know. This is somewhere to be. It's not really a map. It's a tourist thing. Still, it's detailed. Could be...
I'm sorry, officer. The map of Martinez is the only one available. The other two are not. They're quite valuable, though they might not look it. The map of Martinez is 90 cents, though. That old thing. It's an out-of-date map of a tourist location that never was nor came to be, from when some design studio people tried to spruce the place up. They didn't get that far, for some reason. A shame the project never got going. Always good to be informed of your surroundings.
The worn map features the patchwork grid of your finger moves through the various streets, finally coming to a halt on the spot where you are.
For a more detailed view of the map, go to your journal and select.
This bookstore is not strictly about crime. Amidst the point of the book and many others, it serves platitude wholeness. When it's up to your mind, the book, this is just mundane garbage. What's even paranatural about this? The throbbing in your head increases. Suddenly, as if out of nowhere, a small green book becomes apparent. The book contains very little explanation on the matter. The book contains descriptions of various pseudoscientific therapies, alternative medicine. For example, it recommends vigorously swatting one's naked body with a venik or hand broom. Made from the leafy twig, it is supposedly invigorating and good for the circulation. It also recommends consuming distilled spirits like vodka or whiskey that have been aged in the pale. Among other benefits, it is alleged to restore a damaged liver to perfect health. For general health and well-being, readers are encouraged to take regular strolls through the pale. Though a sidebar cautions readers to limit each these strolls promise to cleanse the mind of worries and the body of toxins. This is exactly what you need. There's an entire section devoted to cures for men who are struggling to perform their marital obligations.
Excuse me, sir. I believe you've been perusing that particular volume long enough. If you'd like to continue reading, I must insist you buy it.
The plaque on the shelf reads, by browsing through suddenly high speed next to that.
I really...
She understands she has erred against the customer and
I'm sorry, I did not mean to rush you. You are browsing. Go ahead. I would say... the greatest innocence. Yes, most certainly. It's an important...
shelves full of biographies of famous. This coin-operated viewer is facing southwest. It's
You better keep walking. Look at me when I...
A striking woman leans against the cabin top.
Good evening, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to...
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. The lieutenant...
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full...
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the fourth day to the bat's day on this. I hope there is something...
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
Why, yes I am. Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou. We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol.
She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps.
The boat? No. It is...
The word, it, feels strange.
Okay. How about Cordeleche 19? Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordeleche. Why Dolores? Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion. It's a pleasure craft. A 19 pacer. My sloop? I like...
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Good. What we do... The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. And that is the terminal.
She enjoys talking about the company. It would not hurt to inquire.
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company.
$1 billion?
20 billion is a large number. A conglomerate the size of the Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving...
She nods.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations. Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Oh, so you've met him. Has he beguiled you with his inane theory?
My colleague has his peculiarities. Let's not go...
Of course. To each... Let's say I was...
And when did you first...
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to...
This isn't the first time the union has...
Heavens, no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including... Mr. Clare told him to... How did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Keep in mind, this is an...
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
Of course. How else can I help? This reality.
The aim is to gain a deeper understanding.
A sort of spiritual quest. Something of ancient Ilmarar.
You will find him a big fan of the ancient ways.
Nothing wrong with ancient ways. Our modern ones aren't necessarily better. Ask away, officer.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. Ah! This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent or 2. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once prima...
Splat, splat.
Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of... yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the her. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. Young people who dye their hair funny colors and wear old people's clothes are stupid. All right. What next?
6 kilometers southwest in the Valley of Dogs. Junior officer Chad Till. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins. Yes, he lost his mind, Tilbrook answers, fingers on the trigger. Don't worry, we always do.
You? You're an officer of the RCM. Preciso mundo. Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of...
Yes, we are the Revachol Citizens Militia.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law. Both the RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts. 3 pieces of
All 3 are good to know when we are out policing.
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps... Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s. They called it the International Zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility.
That's somewhat of an exaggeration. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial area. Revacholians get to keep the peace in Revachol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it.
Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are, to me, is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority in... And if the law officials of our nation need help with the basic terms of reality, well, these are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000 for the big time. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the war.
She's not gloating.
Oh, and the anarchists too. Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
This does not represent the official RCM opinion.
Don't worry. Klaus Mazov shot 15 million people in the head. Oh, lots of people. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. I prefer the term risk-averse. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. Why, of course. We're talking Duke out... No. I would say the apes were neutral. On the other hand... the liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Some were rich enough to... They didn't win.
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention. The coalition. The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition of nations.
There is bitterness in her voice.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional...
The rulers of Revachol. And also, the world. These guys are strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist. Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work. The turn of the century revolution? The revolution it wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments. Of course not. It was a highly infectious from Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to quarter... Why? You and...
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of...
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts. A city-state divided into...
The clatter of time.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. Modernity. 43 years. Hard to fathom, I know. The 20s saw a decade of urban... The 30s? No. Welcome to reality, baby.
From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the zone of...
I've no right to be dissatisfied. We could have had so much more. Good question. What would you have done differently? So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion? A complex folding protein. Unlife, a poor remedy for prion disease. Capri, resplendent.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
And what is your official
There is curiosity there that goes on.
My position, man? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old.
Understandable. They are what they are. Anyway, enough sentiment.
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer.
We're in Martinez, baby. A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover. Aren't we all? Martinez is a district of Revachol. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten. Revachol. The great...
As if it's self-explanatory.
History detective. They built this city to... The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile-Marat, depending on your creed, in the DeLorean century. 380 years ago. They say it's where the terrible... By that I mean, we are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island, able to sustain up to 200 million people, in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money... Oh, we're quite a way off. About 22 kilometers from the center of the world.
Silence. The water, the light. There is no recognition. Only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it. She observes your eyes scanning the horizon. This is one thought you need to complete.
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
A strange coldness it's on the tip of your tongue. A doubt of sorts, or...
Nothing more nor less.
Yes, we are the Revachol city. We are.
Yes, that means not. Permit me to and if the law officials of our nation need...
She won't maneuver her way out of...
I am the vilest of the vile. I am an Altre. An ultra-liberal. It's a type of liberal. From the revolution. It's, not the moderate kind. Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden... We surrendered the nation to financier pirates. No sane person
In her green eyes you see forgive her, but only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes.
A devil, who being of great charm and guile sneaketh in...
Beneath her waterproof raincoat and silk shirt is a body imbibed in numb.
I hope we're able to continue as friends, despite my scaly bulk. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. With due respect to our overlords, the Eternal, I would not then for...
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eye.
Perhaps. Yes. I suppose I am.
Seditious talk, man.
Yes. Whatever else I am. I'm also a mother. And a wife. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else I can do?
Is what you want to say. Look at that lady. Take a well-kempt, yet wild, dull orange pearls. Now look at you. You're poor. Poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too... Maybe you could ask her for some stock tips. That's a maybe. Oh God, the lieutenant...
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please...
Voila, you're doing it. Really put your back into it. Yell it from the top of your lungs.
Of course. How much do you need?
She's surprisingly nonchalant about this. Could it be that she somehow knows?
That's a good sum. Not too small, not fantastically large.
She removes a few notes and hands them to you. Whoa, whoa! Did you see how easy that was? Ask her for more. Toot toot, train to Moneytown.
This may seem like odd behavior for a police officer, ma'am, but it's unusual medication.
It's all right, Lieutenant. I really did bring as little cash with me as possible to avoid... So, I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still.
You're right, ma'am, that donations are permitted under the
Which he most certainly will do. Now, how else can I help the RCM today, besides supplementing its salaries? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for...
Of course, ma'am. We should have... And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment.
How curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more...
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to...
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Reports from inside Terminal B.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority, or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that...
Detective, a word in private before we continue.